All right. My name is Dan Adams, and I'm the founder of Earthineer. I refer to myself as a homesteader. And what I mean by that is that by profession, I'm a computer programmer, and I don't make my living through farming, but I still produce a lot. So I have a garden. We can and preserve. I'm a beekeeper. We have chickens. We have goats. We have lambs. We tap trees for maple syrup. We're even building our own solar panels. And people like me, I represent a growing number of people who want to know how their food is produced and where it's produced, and want to do more for themselves for less and live more simply. Our market is the same that Mother Earth News caters to. Mother Earth News has grown by 50% in the past 5 years. In 2009, they were listed as the #1 fastest growing magazine. In 2011, they were listed as the #1 favorite magazine, and that's ahead of the New Yorker and the Economist. And this isn't just a rural trend, it's an urban one as well. Yards are being transformed into edible landscapes. Beehives are being put on the top of Cincinnati buildings. Chickens are going into suburban backyards. So there's a growing number of people who want to do this. And businesses are starting to take notice. So if you open the latest Williams-Sonoma catalog, you too can own a $1,500 chicken coop. So obviously they see a growing trend in urban environments. And this is in thanks a large part due to food education, the farm-to-table movement, economic constraints. They're all causing people to rethink things and decide how much they can produce on their own. So a while back, I'd set a goal for myself. I had wanted to produce 80% of what I consume. But the problem that I discovered is that I'm not a full-time farmer. I'm a computer programmer. The only way to be able to accomplish this is to be a full-time farmer. So I thought, what if there was a way to leverage social networks in order to facilitate trading, to find the items that I'm not producing? And really, that's what started Earthineer, is the idea of a trading application. I still haven't gotten to that point yet, but I'm working toward it. And a lot of this is occurring already. People are organizing food swaps, seed swaps, plant swaps. So what we're doing is just facilitating that. So it could be produce from the garden. It could even be services, such as web design. And then I'll go ahead and create lists of things that I need. Then I'll search for groups within my area, within my zip code. And the system will find matches for me, people that I can trade with. What's going to make this work is the groups concept. Because above everything else, trading is a social activity. It's about finding local people and making relationships with them. So what I did when I started Earthineer is I built the social network part first. So you can upload videos, you can upload photos, you can share information and all the conversations around sustainable living. You can also call information from all over the internet. So it could be from Mother Earth News, from Backwoods Home, from Countryside. It could be from a blog somewhere. You can comment on it, like it, pin it to your own pin boards, and organize it based on your interests. So when I started the incubator program, as was mentioned, I had 4,500 users, and I actually did have a site that people were using. Pretty integral to the whole process was the business model canvas. And of those, I focused on the value propositions. So what I had outlined, the very first thing I wanted to address was trading, which is actually at the bottom. But since I've already covered that, I also wanted to change the nature of the interaction with businesses, with potential customers. I wanted businesses to be an active part of the community. I didn't want them to just be a like button. I wanted them to be involved as members of groups, writing blogs, and actually answering questions. And that's a strong part of the questions feature. If somebody were to ask, how many supers of capped honey do I need to get my bees through winter? Dadent, which supplies bee-making equipment, could answer. Gold Star Honeybees, which has classes on beekeeping, could answer. Bee Culture, which is a magazine for it. So it's an additional way for them to get in front of customers. And then I also wanted Earthineer to be kind of a one-stop source for all information on sustainable living. So of the value propositions, the one I was focusing on the most was the trading, because I felt that, out of the forthcoming features, was the one that had the most benefit. So I already had an existing base, so I decided to go ahead and pull them. So I took 40 of my most active users, and I said, out of all the features that are there and the upcoming features, what do you find to be most valuable? And they validated that, yes, indeed, everybody pointed to the trading application as the thing that they were most looking forward to. But the conversations yielded some other results. Hager Supply Company, which is actually one of our sponsors now, gave this quote: "Naturally, people who are focused on providing for themselves are a difficult market to penetrate. Earthineer provides businesses with the ability to interact in a meaningful way with members, thereby creating real relationships and loyalty among them." So without prompting, businesses were validating a couple of my other value propositions, and specifically changing the nature of how businesses interact. So I went ahead and polled that group again, with the exception of the businesses. I just asked the individuals if this interaction would would make them more likely to actually purchase from those businesses. As it turns out, it already had. They had already, based on just their interactions with some of these businesses, they had started making purchases from these businesses. And just the association with Earthineer alone, a lot of them had started purchasing from these businesses. One of the other things that it highlighted was the true value of having experts on the site. When we first started building and growing, we knew that on the customer segments, we wanted to cater to both beginners and experts. So the greenhorn, which is agricultural beginners, and the old timers. And so how we knew that if we invited beginners to it, and they started asking questions, and those questions weren't answered, they get frustrated and leave. So that's why we focused on really drawing the experts to the site. And we're really fortunate to have, very early on, an article that was done on us in Backwoods Home Magazine. It's a small family-run publication, but it's really well-received in the homesteading community. And that helped drive a lot of the experts to the site. But along those same lines, we're still focused on hiring knowledgeable employees going forward, because we need them to not only do their core job well, but we also need them to be knowledgeable. One of the other things that we tackled was navigation, because one of the sticking points for new users is they would get to the site. There were too many options, so they were confused on some of the navigation. Where to post, it was scattered across a couple different pages, and even the search. You could search for blogs on one page, so the search was scattered about as well. So we've been going through a redesign. This is a very early mock-up, and it'll go through several renditions, but it gives you an idea. So at the top, we're narrowing it down to only 3 options, and then organizing it a lot better. The search will be consistent on all the pages. So from all the pages, you can search for groups, topics, and people. So when we address revenue streams, we're looking at targeted and group buying for the revenue streams. We wanted to establish a metric that we could work with. Based on a number of users that we had, how much advertising revenue could we expect? Facebook gets $9.51 for their U.S. market for the number of users. We went ahead and talked to Ogden Publications as well. I spoke with Brian Welsh, who owns Ogden. They own Mother Earth News Magazine, Grip Magazine, Herb Companion. And what they get for their website is $3.50 for every user on their website. But to put this into context, it's a static website. It's for their magazine. It had articles and has blogs, so it's actually not a social network. So our idea is that by providing a very focused niche site, we can drive the value of those advertisements even higher. And by focusing on the targeted and the group buying, even more so. So if conversations are taking place, such as on bread making, perhaps somebody is asking what their favorite grain mill is. Anytime those conversations are taking place and we refresh the page, we'll immediately serve those advertisements along the side that are based on what the topic that's going on. The same will go for groups. We'll go ahead and leverage the groups being assembled so that the advertisements can be useful to the members as well by getting bulk discounts, in this case, organic chicken feed. We also wanted to address member aggregation, how we go ahead and grow. And you know, the growth that we've seen has been fantastic, but we want to continue to propel that. And we thought Ravelry was a good example of that. It's a niche site. It's a social network for knitters and crocheters. The first year they had 100,000. Second year they had 600,000. The third year they had 1 million. So for a knitting and crocheting site, that's fantastic growth. So I contacted them and asked them how they grew. Turns out it was by word of mouth and by engaging the blogging community. So we went ahead and added that to our key partners being bloggers. Now there are a lot of bloggers on our site already. The problem is they don't use Earthineer to blog. They have their own blog. They want to drive traffic to it. And that's part of the purpose of the pinning feature that's coming out, is we want to be able to help drive traffic to them and engage the blogging community. So other than just building the social network and the trading application, we're also still focusing on brand awareness and continuing to do that. I've been a speaker at the Mother Earth News Fair for a couple years now. I've done it on do-it-yourself electric car, do-it-yourself solar panels, on bokashi composting. This is one of the crowds on a do-it-yourself solar panel. So you can see it draws a pretty good crowd. Every time that I do one of these presentations, it helps to generate more awareness, also helps drive traffic to our booth. This year we're doing a live solar panel build at our booth as well. So we're going to, other than the Mother Earth News Fair, which is in Puyallup, Washington, Seven Springs, Pennsylvania, we're going to be exhibiting at the SOG Conference in Arkansas, Common Grounds in Maine, OFA in Ohio. So we're going to be across the country really trying to generate traffic. And we're also writing articles for publications. So I'm a guest blogger on Mother Earth News. I've written an article for Edible Ohio on backyard chickens. I have another one coming out in solar panels for Backwoods Home Magazine. And we're focusing our marketing efforts still on the experts. Countryside is a great example of this because it's a magazine written by homesteaders for homesteaders. So we're still focusing on the experts, and at that point, once we generate a really good base of experts, we'll move on to some of the other magazines as well. And we've started a sponsorship program, and we've already attracted some pretty good names. Mother Earth News, Hager Supply Company, which is the #1 supplier of goat equipment. They also have cheese-making lines and soap-making lines. Grainmaker, which is actually one of the companies in the Williams-Sonoma catalog in the agrarian line. They produce a grain mill, probably the best on the market, and Backwoods Home Magazine. And in several of the cases, they're actually helping to promote Earthineer as well. Grainmaker is including Earthineer cards in every single one of their grain mills that ship out. Backwoods Home intends to shut down, they have a bulletin board system. They're just going to go ahead and shut it down and send all the users to Earthineer. So to recap, where we are right now, we have industry-recognized sponsors and partners. We actually have revenue. We have a working website with a growing user base. As I said, when I started the program, I had 4,500. We now have over 11,000. And a renewed focus. You may have seen the quotes earlier on. Backwoods Home Magazine had called us a Facebook for farmers. And Claire Wolfe had said that Earthineer was what Facebook could have been if Mark Zuckerberg had wanted to make it useful and interesting. Well, we want to grow beyond just being thought of as a Facebook niche site, and we feel that the questions feature and the trading application, the pinning, is what's really going to propel us further. Thank you.